But in some cases, they can be so toxic that you have to give them a little rest. I mean, I'm sure you all have, or a friend that you've had for years, but the person just seems to just have a negative influence on your life. And you realize every time you hang out with the person, bad things happen or you end up in some kind of trouble, some relationships, there comes a time where you just really need to cut that person off, right? Anyway, so for those of you who are here, first of all, welcome. Welcome to the new, anybody who is new. If you're new, you could just tell us in the comments, say hi, good night, I'm new. My name is X or Y. It's always nice to see the new folks join in. And welcome to those of you who have been following us for, well, almost a year that we started these Monday calls. Welcome to our faithful followers. But if you're new, you can just put it in the comments. It's really good to see. I'm new. Hi, Adana. Lovely. Nice to meet you, Adana. I hope this session is helpful to you. I'm going to talk, Alison, good night. Pleasure. I'm going to be talking a lot about the natural side of things, but for those of you who may not know, what I'm sharing comes from a biblical standpoint. This is a Christian group, and so the things that we talk about, yes, they're natural remedies and solutions that I would give you all, but a lot of what I believe comes from the Bible. It's how I live my life, and it's what has helped me, my relationship with God. And you can only really teach someone or give somebody advice based on what has worked for you, what results you've seen in your life. And God has been a big impact in my life. And so I hope that tonight we'll get both sides and we'll get a balance, and you all will be able to see both sides of the situation, spiritual and natural, right? So anybody cares to recap? Last week I went through several points. It was like about 11 or 12 points, not all obviously, to give you just an idea. Those of you who may not be sure, hi, good night, Val. Those of you who may not be sure if you're even in a toxic relationship, or you have an idea, but you just want some clarity. It's like, gosh, is it really, should I really leave? And I went through some points as to what could indicate that in that type of relationship. So I don't know if anybody who was here last week wants to just say maybe 2 of the points. I don't know if anybody took notes. I know there are people who do take notes. So just to give you an opportunity really quickly, if anybody wants to, you can unmute your mic and go ahead. Yes. Somebody, the mic is unmuted. I'm hearing some noise in the back. I don't know if the person wants to share a couple of points. No, doesn't seem that way. All right. So let me I'm just gonna read them through, right? The first one, if you are unhappy in a relationship, right? Simple. That was a simple. Are you happy? Relationship supposed to make you happy. Are you happy in a relationship? Yes or no? You can tell. You might be saying, but it's not that simple. It's complicated. No, it's actually not. A love relationship is supposed to be filled with love and happiness, right? I'm not saying perfect, but it's supposed to be happy, right? Does it add or take away from your self-worth? Does the person build you up in terms of your dreams and goals and aspirations, or tear you down? So does it add to your self-worth? 3, do you fight a lot, shout? Do you have meltdowns over this, cuss outs? 4, do you and your partner hide things from each other? Is there a bit of mistrust between you all? Is it always for your partner? Is it always his way or the highway? Is it always his way and he sticks to his way, his plan, and he not bend it? Is there no flexibility? Does it feel like you are always the one giving of yourself? You are the one who's giving emotionally, financially. You're always the one supporting, and when it's time for you to get support, there's none. Is it a codependent relationship? Does it feel like if you can't live without this person and vice versa? Now, excuse me, some people think that's a good thing, but it's not necessarily, it's actually a bad thing. Not necessarily. To be codependent, for your happiness to be tied to another human being is a dangerous thing, far less a man in a relationship, right? If you are if it's a codependent relationship, I get from you, you give to me, I take from you, take that kind of thing, and you're dependent on this person for things that really only God could give you, that's a dangerous thing. Does the person make you feel insecure about your looks or even just your personality? Do they always put you down? Do they always tell you about how you're looking, you know, and criticizing you? Is if there's any abuse, physical, sexual, emotional, does the person try to this is kind of similar to criticizing your looks. Does the person always try to make you alter how you look? Like they might say, I like red, I like people with red hair. So and they ask you to go dye your hair. Or they tell you I like people with big butts, and they tell you go and do some butt implants, right? Or breast implants. You know what I mean? They're always trying to make you into somebody that you're not, right? And then the last one, if sex is the biggest part of your relationship and one of the only things, the only part of your relationship that brings pleasure and joy, and that's the only time you all get along, you're in trouble. And that's not a good thing, right? So that's real quick. That's what we went through last week. And of course, we expounded on each one of the points. But today I want to be a little more specific, because after going through those points, let me ask you all a question. And you can answer in the chat, right? How many of you think right now that you are in a toxic relationship, or not necessarily only with your husband or boyfriend? It could be just a friend. But how many of you, just type in the comments, say me, I'm in a toxic relationship. Let me see how many of you are. Katrina is in a toxic relationship. Sarai, Gail. Let me see. I'm sure I'd have more than yours. The relationship is toxic. Or some of y'all don't like the word toxic. Somebody, right? She came out a month ago, but it's not healthy. Let me make it easier for y'all. You're in a relationship and it's not healthy. You know it's not healthy. It's not doing you good. It's not doing you good. It's giving you stress, causing you to lose your hair, causing you to lose sleep, causing you to lose weight. That kind of relationship. That's what I'm talking about, right? You're crying, plenty tears, plenty nights of crying, plenty days of fighting. Yeah, that kind of thing, right? So it seems like a few of you are in a toxic relationship. Yet, yes, Deanne, yet y'all are saying and admitting that you know the relationship is toxic, but you're still there. You are still there. And people have all kinds of reasons. But what I want to do tonight, ladies, is to take you to a place where, okay, you've recognized that this is toxic. It's not doing me any good. And I want to help you to move from that, right? If you don't want to move from the toxic relationship, I can't help you. If you think that's normal and you want to continue that kind of lifestyle, I actually cannot. This call would be of no assistance to you. This is for someone who actually wants to move on. You have had enough. You don't want to end 2022 in the same place you started it, right? This is for you. So first things, one of the first reasons why you are still there, ladies, and understanding this is will help you to leave, right? One of the first reasons you are still there is because a lot of times we may mistake addiction, lust, or the feeling or need for someone as actually love. So we mistake addiction. Now, how many of you know that you could be addicted to a human being? Have you all, I don't know if you all have come to that conclusion, that you can actually feel addicted to a human being, where you feel like you cannot do without spending time with this person, being with this person, being intimate with this person. You can be addicted to a human being. It's actually one of the strongest addictions, might be stronger than drugs and all, because it actually keeps women in relationships where they are being abused physically, mentally, and otherwise. Some women stay in a relationship with a man and they know that their children are being abused by this man. So something has to be keeping you there. Something has to be keeping you above good common sense in this relationship where not only are you being hurt, but your children are also being hurt, right? So don't mistake addiction, lust, or the feeling of need for actual love. That's the first mistake a lot of y'all make, this feeling that you have, right? Bad habits are hard to break. A bad relationship can feel like a bad habit you just cannot break. Do you all agree with me? It's like you want to break it, but it's like it's like trying to, if any of you ever smoked or do smoke now, used to smoke, sometimes it's just as hard to break the addiction of a man that it is to substance abuse, cocaine, cigarettes, whatever it might be, ice cream, right? So you get comfortable because it's a routine. You lie to yourself about needing the person just because they've been in your day-to-day life for years or for a long while. So because the person has been around for a while and you've become so accustomed to them, to the routine of them, to the routine of your relationship, bad or good, you think that you need this person and that you cannot do without this person. Here the other deception in this. You actually think that you can't get better than this person. And you think that you've become so accustomed, you get so accustomed to all these things over the years now. Some people actually feel it's a hassle, even though it's bad. They feel like it's a hassle to move on from this person, actually start another relationship. It's like that sounds like a burden. So to move on and say, oh God, you mean to do this thing again, to meet somebody else and go through. And so therefore you settle for what you're in now because it just has become like a routine, right? Great chemistry also makes you feel that addiction. But chemistry does not necessarily mean respect, and it certainly doesn't mean love. Most times it's just lust, right? Ask yourself, ladies, right? Ask yourself this question. Why am I staying in this relationship? Ladies, I don't want you all to just listen for listening's sake. While I'm talking to you, I want you to ask yourself these hard questions. Why am I staying? What am I really getting out of this? Maybe you could even get pen and paper and write down the pros and the cons. What am I getting out of this really? Am I getting what I'm supposed to get out of a love relationship? Or is it just torment? Am I just being frustrated year after year after year, right? Um, why are you staying? What need is it fulfilling? Is it fulfilling a need? If the need is sex, financial, if it's filling your sexual desires, your financial desires, somewhere to live, those are not reasons to be in a love relationship, right? Is it the need to have a partner? All those things, just to have a partner, all those things are not reasons to stay with anybody. So ladies, sometimes you are still where you are because you are mistaken this feeling of addiction and lust and wanting and needing for love. I hear women say it. They say, oh God, I love that man. Bad, I love him. Bad, I can't do that. Bad, this and this. Stressly bad. Oh gosh, that man, boy, I don't know what that man does do to me now. I mean, honestly, you know, your romantic escapades or whatever, the things that bring joy to the relationship, is it worth staying in that toxic environment? Why are you still there? Right? So ladies, if that is what is, you are mistaken love, and some of you all, you actually think that it is love keeping you there, but it's not. It is that addiction and that need to be with that person, right? Human addiction is a real thing. And just how it is hard to break a habit, ladies, you may need help to break away from this person. But you know, like if you go to a AA meeting, right? One of the first things they would tell you to repeat is that I am an alcoholic. They make you say this is who I am and I need help and that kind of thing, right? You need to come to that point where you say, I need help to break free from this man. It seems like I'm addicted to this, even though it is not good and I don't want to be. I am addicted to this relationship, right? So that is one. Next thing, number two, um, you have to come to the realization, ladies, that the only person that you can really change is yourself. You cannot commit to changing another human being. but you can commit to changing yourself, right? Staying in a bad relationship because you think that the person is going to change over time, or better yet, change for you, is wishful thinking. Ladies, if you are holding on year after year after year, hoping that this man is going to change, and let's take it further. Not that he just changing for his own well-being. A lot of women stay because they think that, well, if he loved me, he would change. And you, 10 years gone and you're waiting for the man to change. 10 years is way too much. In my opinion, 2 years is too long for me to wait for you to change, right? You can only change you. You are the only one who can change, make different choices, and change your life. You cannot be responsible for another human being changing, right? Um, it's not practical, right? Accept that the only person you can change is yourself and start working on you, ladies, right? Be honest with me, ladies. I like the honesty, and this is one of the things I like about this group, and most of the women say that they also like, is the fact that we can be transparent. And you know, when you're open and transparent, it's easy to get help. And then you also see that other people are in the same situation like you, right? So let me ask you, how many of you are in a relationship still, or have been in a relationship in the past, and you stayed in that relationship long because you were actually hoping that that person changed? Tell me in the comments. Say me, if you're still waiting for them to change, or if you were in a relationship waiting and they didn't change, right? Kat says she is one. Oh gosh, Whitney still waiting. Right? So I'm seeing a few of you saying that you all are waiting or waited, right? Ladies, I was waiting on them, change back person when they met me. Mm. That yeah. It very rarely works out that they change back to that person. Because most times that statement that Sarai just made, most times the person that you met initially wasn't actually who the person was. That was the person that they became to get you involved with them, but that wasn't really who you see now is who the person is, going back. They can't go back to what they never was. They was playing, yeah. I'm so sorry. Hope it's not sounding like I just being heartless, but they that's just the fact of the matter, right? So ladies, I was gonna talk this really bit with partners, right? Ladies, don't, if it's change you're waiting for, ladies, you cannot be responsible. If you are, let's say you are a church going person, you have a relationship with God. I've heard many God-fearing women who love God in a relationship with God say, I'm praying for them. I'm praying and I'm praying that they change. And I believe God will answer my prayers. Listen, God will perhaps someday answer your prayers, but it doesn't mean that if that person does, let's say, does eventually come to a realization that they need God and they change their life and they end up having a relationship with God, it doesn't mean that the person is still meant to be with you, right? But this waiting and waiting and waiting for the person to change, ladies, if that's why you are still where you are, I am telling you, that very rarely happens. All that actually happens with time is that the person gets more and more cemented in their ways. So whatever bad habits that you hoping they change, it actually becomes more part of the relationship, because they're becoming more and more accustomed to you, and they realize that you are still around, even though they're doing bad things, making bad decisions. They're going out there, other women, they're outside child, all kind of thing. They push you, they cuss you, and you're still there. So it's very unlikely that they're going to change, ladies. I'm so sorry to say that. Most likely they're not going to change, right? Next one. So you can't. You're going to be disappointed. Accept that the only person you can change is yourself and start working on you. Otherwise, you are just setting yourself up for a lot of unmet expectations, settling, and disappointment, right? Because after you've waited, let's say 3 years, and you say, okay, the person will change, the person will change. After the 3 years, you realize you invested so much and the person still hasn't changed. What actually happens a lot of times is you just end up settling for the bad habits. You're just saying, well, you know what, this is probably what I'm going to have to live with. And so you end up settling and you end up living in a state of disappointment because this is not the kind of man you wanted in the first place. But it's who you end up with. It's where you're at now and you settle. And ladies, that's not, listen, you don't deserve a relationship where you just settle. That's not God's plan for you, and it shouldn't be your plan for you to settle for something toxic, something unhealthy, just because you've invested time. It doesn't make sense. Investing time is not that's another thing. That's not a reason to stay, right? What about your peace of mind? What about your physical health? What about your well-being? Right? You can't just settle, ladies, okay? So it's just gonna be disappointment after disappointment, and the person will not meet your expectations. Came to myself, right? Yeah. Okay, next one. That was number 2. Number 3, make a plan and stick to it, right? Ladies, pay attention to this, right? Decide when, how, and where you're going to end the relationship, right? I think what happens to a lot of you in a fit of an argument, like in the heat of an argument, excuse me, when it's bad, and you're saying, listen, when the argument going on, you say, I gonna pack my things and go. No thought into it, right? You ain't know where you're going. You ain't have no plan. It's just your head hot because you're in the heat of the argument. Right? I can't take it no more. Come on there. Come turn. If it's turn, yeah, let me go. Right? And you pack and you go. You don't know where you're going. You ain't call nobody. Right? You have no plan. And you just pick up and go. Right? When you're making a decision like leaving and moving on from a relationship you have been in for years, right? It shouldn't be done in a haste. It shouldn't be done in the time where you are having a big back and forth and heated argument, right? Decide how, decide when and where and why you are ending the relationship and do it, right? It is important to know that I am not ending this. Don't deceive yourself, ladies, right? I'm not ending this relationship because we had one argument yesterday. I am ending this relationship because when you're in a fresh argument now, right? You're in an argument in the moment. It's bad. You want to go. I can't take it no more. I can't take it. And you're gone, right? But it's like sometimes our memory, I don't know, like we forget easily. That is not just, this argument is not just today, right? We had one day before and 2 days before that and last week and the week before that. And he pushed me this week and he cussed me that, right? So don't move in a haste. Have a plan, right? Because the arguments will come. It's been coming for the past 3 years. It's not going to stop. So what some people do is deceive themselves into accepting moments of normalcy. So you're in a relationship and you get a week of peace, right? You get a week where nothing too bad happened. No outbursts, no argument. It seemed like, he cool, right? Hey, this week, right? And that it takes that little week, please take the whole 5 years out of your mind. And you say, okay, right. Okay, you know what? It may be not so bad. You are deceiving yourselves, right? If it was like that for 3, 4, 5 years, it's just a matter of time before another explosion. So just taking little moments of normalcy and saying, okay, I will work with that. That's not good enough, ladies, right? If it has been a pattern of arguments, a pattern of unfaithfulness, a pattern of mistrust, bacchanal, just drama, it's not just going to end because 1 week somehow, you're getting along, right? Unless there's some miraculous change by God or something, right? So decide how, decide when, where, decide why. Do not look back. Do not give in to your own desires and feelings or theirs, right? This is important. Trust what you are doing is the right thing, right? So it's, ladies, I'm going back to not doing it in haste, not doing it in a fit of rage, right? Don't trust your feelings either, because you might start to pack and leave and then you start to cry and you're like, what am I gonna do? We're gonna live without him, how, right? Again, and like we have selective memory, you forget the years of torment because it's now time to make a decision to move on, right? Trust that you are doing the right thing and do not give in to your feelings that might come. Remember what number 1 was. Number one was that feeling of lust, needing the person, that feeling of addiction because of the years and the time you spent with that person. When you're ready to leave, those feelings are going to come back, ladies. You're going to feel it, right? When you're in the fit or rage, you will probably leave. If it's a big argument, you'll probably go. But then if you have not thought it through and you have not convinced yourself, you got to convince you. When you go to wherever you go and you're quiet, for you start to cry and miss him, and he will call you and tell you, baby, I love you. You know, this thing has come over, man. I do it because I really love you. Whatever reasons they give, and you go back, right? So make a plan, stick to it, trust you're doing the right thing. Write yourself notes about why you are doing it and remind yourself. I don't know if that sounds silly to you, but writing things down has value, right? Write it down. This is why I'm leaving him. Not because we had an argument today, but because he degrades me, because he's unfaithful to me, he calls me names, he does not treat me. Make a list, right? Remember, you have been in this toxic relationship for years, so it's not just going to be like that, right? So be intentional when the time comes for you to leave, right? Not the haste leave. Now, if there's a big fight and argument and you do leave, good for you, but you have to stick to it. But after that fight and argument and you go, sit down and think it through. Say, Lord, I'm not making this decision just because we had this fight today. This man has been tormenting my life, right? You have to convince yourself, ladies, because your feelings, which are not always real and they don't always do you good, will keep you there as it has been keeping you for the past how much years? I saw people say 20 years. I saw ladies say that they've been in a toxic relationship for 20 years. I pray, ladies, that this session is able to help you to make that decision, to understand perhaps why you're there and make some conscious decisions to move on, right? Make a plan, stick to it. That's number 3. Here the next thing, ladies. Here the next thing. Get support from somebody that you trust, somebody that you can be accountable to, somebody who could tell you, no, you're not going back. No, don't go back. Somebody who probably is so good with that they could hold your foot if you try to go through the door to go back to him. They go hold on to your foot, or they will take you and pin you down in a some kind of wrestling hold to keep you there, so that you wouldn't go back. Somebody that you can be accountable to, that you know has your best interest at heart, and somebody who can make sure that you stick to it, right? You're going to need support. Reach out to a close friend, family member who can hold you accountable, provide support, remind you why you are walking away. Because ladies, sometimes we forget. This feeling of this addiction and the need and stuff gives us selective memory. So having a good friend, I'm talking about a good friend who cares about you, who has proven themselves to be a true friend or family member. It's not a bad thing at all. If when you say, you know what, girl, I feel like going back. If the person is really a friend and they see the drama and they themselves was in the drama, they will say, what is wrong with you? You can't go. Remember he did X, remember he did Y. Let them, that person, make sure it's somebody who know the drama, not no new friend who do nothing and the friend tell you, oh gosh, give him a chance now. The Bible says we have to love one another and love holds no record of wrong. Well, okay. Yeah, it's true. I could forgive you, but it don't mean I had to live with you in torment, right? So not that kind of friend, not that kind of friend. The kind of friend who would hold you by your head like this and say, girl, what are you doing? Do you demand beat you up? Or the man horn you? Or the man have 3 outside children? Or the man always cussing you up? You always telling me you're ugly, right? A friend who could talk some sense into you. A friend who could talk sense into you, right? Make sure you have support. That person can remind you why you're leaving. Do not think that you can do it by yourself, right? Now, remember, I'm talking about people who have been in relationships for a while and it has been difficult to leave. If you have not been able to do it after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you might need some help. You might need support. And if you don't have a friend like that or family member that you trust, get a counselor, somebody that you can be accountable to, somebody you could call in your moments of weakness, when you feel like you want to go back, somebody you could call and cry on the phone with and say, I want to go back. I'm feeling, my heart's hurting me. And I need him. For the person to say, no, you don't need him. You don't. Yeah, you don't need him. He has been no good for your life, but somebody who could support you, right, ladies? You don't have to make the decision. Well, you have to make the decision on your own, but you don't have to walk it out alone, right? So get support. Number 5, that was number 4. Number 5, honor your own dreams and desires, right? Let me explain this. What kind of relationship? Okay, when you're with children, teenagers, maybe I should go to children, because they have some messed up teenagers too. Messed up teenagers. When you all were children, when you was like 9, 10, 11, and you dreamt of a relationship, was it this kind of relationship you dreamt of? Talk to me. And tell me in the chat. When you had your dreams, when you was in the princess phase, when you thought it was a Prince Charming coming, and you used to daydream before you even know what having a boyfriend was. The times when you would just dream about having somebody. I don't know what age that starts. Perhaps you could probably tell me. What age was that? What age do girls start to fantasize about having a boyfriend, right? They say, no, it's not like, they didn't dream of this kind of relationship, right? Nobody sits down and dreams and fantasize, about 12. For some people, maybe 11, maybe even. I remember at 10 years old, thinking I was in love with somebody. At 10, thinking I was in, but not saying love, not in love, but you're so infatuated with this person because they're so cute and everybody in school liked the person. But yeah, 10, 11, 12, right? Nobody had a dream or was wishing themselves into a toxic relationship, into a relationship that had them crying more than laughing, that had them sad more than happy. That was not your dream. And so what I mean by honor your own dreams and desires is, what kind of relationship do you want? What kind of person do you envision yourself spending the rest of your life with, right? Perhaps you all could tell me in the chat, what are some of the qualities you want in a man? And if your present boyfriend or husband don't, now the husbands and people who are married, sorry, it's a little different. I always say on the course, I don't recommend women just walk out of their marriage. Except of course they're being hurt physically and their life, they feel like they're in danger, their children in danger, then I would say leave, separate from that person. But for those of you who are in a relationship, you have not been married, you're not engaged, you can walk away. But let me ask you, one person said God-fearing. What kind of qualities you envision? Worship the Lord, loyalty, honesty. Let me see some other things. Don't feel obligated to say what sounds good. Say what's in your heart. Ambitious, right? I like that. Loving, humility, right? Right. So family oriented, that's should be the case, right? Yeah, so everybody has respectful, everybody has a vision or has envisioned for themselves the kind of relationship, the kind of man that they want in their life. Good sense of humor, yeah, consistent, straightforward. You all have some good things, right? Now, the kind of person that you envision spending your life with. Do you want consistent drama in your life? That Huawei phone person said leadership. That's a very serious one, leadership. Do you want to be with someone who isn't sure of you, right? Some people, you're with somebody and the person is not even sure. Oh gosh, Pauline said my dream mama protect me and it never happened. So we have our thoughts. Everybody has our thoughts, right? And everything that you all said are great qualities that you should have in someone. And it's and nobody's going to put in their list a man who always bringing me down, one who always flirting with other women. I want a man, gosh, I want one bad. He always who would like to flirt with women. I like them kind of man. Or a man who like to go outside, or a man who always threatening me. Nobody gonna have those kinds of comments, right? And so ladies, honor your dreams and your desires. And I now I am not one for the list. You know, people have their lists, right? People have their list. Many times that list could do you in. That list, tall, dark, handsome, must be making over 15K, must drive a car, must already own a house, must be a leader, must be, some people say they must be, he must own his own company, must already have this, must already have that. Those kind of lists, nothing wrong with a list. But sometimes people's lists are very, very unrealistic, and it's difficult to get everything on the list. And they actually have so much thing on them list, they end up settling because they realize it's not very practical to get somebody with every single thing on the list, right? But at the same time, you deserve somebody who loves you. This is for all relationships. Everybody should have this on the list. Love you, right? And ladies, it's important to note that your version of love, what you experience, and that you think is love, may not be love at all. It's the love that sometimes you think you deserve, or the love that perhaps you received from broken parents, and so you settle for a version of love that's not love. The person who sets the standard for love is God, and his love is pure, it is true, it is just, it is right, it is kind, it is gentle. God's love is not, so you can't say it is love, right? If your better half, or your partner, his way of dealing with conflict is pushing and shoving and pulling your hair and cussing you and calling you names, um, how is that love? I don't want to be loved like that. So if you think that this person just do it because they're passionate and they love me, I listen, keep that kind of love, right? So there's a standard for love, and I think this is where a lot of women go off to, right? Their standard for love comes from the wrong place. Your standard of love either comes from the home you grew up in, movies. Some people feel what they see in movies, Hollywood. It's unrealistic. Social media, it's not true love. And so I encourage you all to, and I'll read it at the end. That's the last thing I would do. I'll read what God's love looks like, and that is what you deserve, right? So what I'm saying is, if you are not getting what you think, love is like magic, but sometimes it can be. If you are not getting true love, and you're not being treated with respect in your relationship, your husband doesn't honor you, your requests, or your, not your husband, sorry, your boyfriend doesn't honor anything that you ask him to do or help with, or anything. Like, it's just like you're just there for like a trophy, okay, I have a girlfriend and she look good, or I have a girlfriend when I feel, we talk, whatever. That's not what a relationship is about. And many times, not many times, all relationships that end up in marriage, there's a purpose. God has a plan for you as a couple, right? So ladies, it's not just a sweet boy you're looking for. It's not just some man who come looking good and sweet talking you and busting nice lyrics. Oh God, darling, when I see you, girl, no lyrics come into mind right now, so I don't want to embarrass myself, but like, girl, when I see you, so I can't do it. I can't do it. No lyrics come into me, like none. But all I know what I'm talking about, right? The man who, when he talk and he watch you a certain way, you feel like you're gonna melt. That doesn't last, and that's not keeping any relationship together, right? So you can envision yourself with a particular type of person, and please don't let it be shallow things. He must be able to dress, he must walk a certain way, his hair had to be, only one man with curly hair. I want a man with no tacky hair, or the opposite. I want a man with a nice little fro. I want a man, oh, you see beard, my man had to have a beard. If he don't have a beard, well, that is it for him. He want a man without a beard. Guys, those things are shallow. Those things will not keep you together. Yeah, see somebody tried some lyrics there. Those things are not going to keep your relationship going. Those things fade. It might help in the beginning because there's a big attraction there for the person, but it's not going to, no substance in that kind of, those kind of requests that you know, those things that you're looking for. There's no substance in it, right? So have a vision for the kind of man that you want in your life, right? Have a vision. That was number 5. Well, it's honor your dreams and desires, right? Number 6, take a small step every day towards the life you want to live, right? Sometimes as women, and I think I said this before, this is something I think I probably said on a lot of calls, a lot of women tend to put their own needs and their own desires kind of on the back burner for their family and for their children. Now, nothing is wrong with making sacrifices for your husband and your children if you're married, right? You should. You should. Life, when you have a baby, life can't just go on like how it was before. Impossible. You have to make adjustments. When you get married as a woman, you're no longer just living for you. When the Bible says that, now you have to be concerned about how to please your husband. It's not just me or I myself doing what I want anymore, right? That is not the case, right? But many times we as women, we put our needs, our life, our quality of life, we put that on hold or we kind of throw it behind for a man. We put aside our real true desires, who we really are on the inside, um and we bury ourselves and throw ourselves into this relationship with this man, and we forget our own dreams, right? We can't even think about dreams sometimes because the relationship's so toxic and it's so much drama that dreams take a back seat, right? It's important when you have moved on, right? Because it's going to be difficult if you're in a toxic relationship. When you have moved on, ladies, it is important, listen to this very well, right? What happens to a lot of you when you do move on from your toxic relationship, unfortunately, you go looking for somebody else now. You go looking for a rebound. Now, you don't call it that. And that's not what you think you're doing. You just think, well, you're moving on. But it's actually you're looking to fill that emptiness that you're feeling. So you move from most times from the pot into the fire, or vice versa, right? But you instead of and you take no time for yourself. You don't even take like a good 2-3 months to start to build yourself back up, to start to fulfill some of your dreams, do something you like enjoy being single for a while. You just go from one man to the next man, right? Without giving yourself time. And that is why, too, some of you all who may have moved on from one, you make statements like, oh gosh, every relationship I in end up the same way. How all these only this particular type of man attracted to me, right? Perhaps it's something that you are doing wrong, not that you are attracting this kind of man, right? So ladies, you have to give yourself time when you have moved on. It's not about moving on and looking for somebody else. You don't need to have a man all the time. I'm talking about if you're not married, right? You don't need, if you're still single and not married, you don't need to go from one to the next. Give yourself time, make little small steps to doing something that you always wanted to do that you couldn't do when you were with him, right? Tell me if there are things, you could tell me in the chat, if there are things that you would really like to do right now that is very difficult for you to do because of the relationship you are in. Some dream, some desire, it could be anything. It could be something small like traveling, opening a business, maybe just what you want to do in the house. You might want to paint the house a particular color, do something, but you're restricted because of the type of relationship you have or the kind of man that you are with. You're not able to explore, you're not able to be yourself, you're not able to some people I know women who can't even play the kind of music they want. If they put on the kind of music they like, the person would be like, what stupidness you're playing there? Take off that crap. Um, take off that stupidness. I don't want to hear that. Anything, just anything that you want to do, anything that makes you happy and feel fulfilled, you get shut down. You get shut down, right? Even if it's something good, even if it's something to help your relationship, right? He not seeing that. He not seeing that. It's all about him and what he wants to do. So ladies, after you've moved on, you've reached to the point where I'm gone. I'm moving out. I'm gone. If you're living with the person, we're not breaking up. I don't want to with the person. It is when you do that, ladies, it is time now for you to start to see about yourself. Because most times you're going to end that relationship broken. You're going to end that relationship feeling in shambles, feeling hurt, betrayed, disappointed, right? And now you have to bring yourself to a place where you have to bring yourself to a place now where you're able to build yourself up. And there's no better place, ladies, to do that than through a relationship with God, through connecting with God. If you feel like you don't have a connection with God and you want to connect with him, there's no better place to get that, to feel refreshed, to feel revived in your spirit, to feel like, whoa, like I feel alive again. Like now I have purpose. God wants to give, he has a purpose for you, right? And so many times we forget purpose, we forget plan, we forget God, we forget everything because of this man. So ladies, give yourself time to grow in God, and even just, you know, in yourself. Take a course, right? If you were financially dependent on this man and you realize that that's why you ended up staying so long, right? You realize that it was finances kept you in the relationship, or a place to live kept you in the relationship, right? When you move on, start to work on building up back your finances, building back your savings, finding a place to live, get into a place where you're independent financially, that you don't have to depend on anybody. Don't just go because this man is no longer there to support you in these ways. Don't go looking for another man to support you. That is not going to work. That's how you end up going from a bad relationship to bad relationship, right? So you build you when you end the relationship. Build up yourself, your self-esteem, your worth, and you're going to need help with that too. Because I know it's difficult, ladies, when you come out of a relationship and you've been told the worst things. You've been, gosh, you feel beat down, you feel defeated, you feel like you're not even any good to any other man, right? Because that person really destroy your self-esteem, and you may need help, to build yourself back up. And truly help of counselors. You have people who could church. I don't know if you all go to a church or affiliated with a church. You might have somebody you trust you can talk to. You can talk to myself, to Celeste, Serana, the ladies affiliated with the school. But you don't have to do it by yourself. And I know you're going to need help. But the most important thing I want for your ladies is to be able to move on, to be able to get up in 2022, make that step and move away from that relationship, right? So I said I wanted to read for you because I really do think a lot of you don't know what love is, right? What love looks like. You have a distorted idea of what love is. And so I want to read for you in the Bible what an idea of what God's love looks like, right? Let me just get it here. I thought I had it up. I hope that the things that I shared, ladies, was a help to you all tonight, and that you were able to, that you're going to be able to make a decision. One second now. That you're going to be able to make a decision soon, right? And remember, I'm not talking about a hasty decision, right, ladies? I'm talking about a decision where you sit down and you think it through. Where am I going to live if this person has been supporting me? Where am I going to live? What am I, if you have children, how am I going to take care of my children? I have a pressing question. I'm sorry, I didn't see the question. You'll get an opportunity to ask questions just now. Sorry, I don't know why this is happening. Okay, I got it. Okay, so here we go. This is in 1 Corinthians chapter 30, right? What I'm going to read here is just one of the many descriptions of love in the Bible, right? This is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and I'm reading from verse 4, right? So ladies, if you're not sure what love looks like and you are accepting the wrong version of love, this is love, right? Love is patient. Love is kind, right? Let me ask you all, this is a list, but we just have the first two already. Is your partner patient and kind? Type it in the thing. Is your partner right now, is he patient and is he kind? These are the first two aspects of love, God's love, right? You just say yes or no. Trisha or Sam. Katrina says no. If this right, sometimes. Sarai says no. Sometimes yes. Some no, right? So he's not patient, but he's kind. Okay, sometimes, right? Here, what I want you all to do, right? You think of the person and you picture the person. Remember, this is somebody you are with. And if you are not seeing, he could be kind. Yeah, we're not accepting moments of kindness because we know that it could go sour, right? Talking about somebody who's just genuinely kind and not only kind to you, how does he treat other people as well, right? Not only kind to you. So it's patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor, right? It is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but it rejoices in truth. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Love never fails, right? Ladies, I'm not saying that your husband, um, I'm not saying that your boyfriend, fiance, has to be perfect. But what this is you're starting from why I read this. I want you to start from this point. This is what the picture of love that you have in your mind. This is what love is to you. And so that if somebody comes into your life that is not displaying any of these qualities at all, or displays it very little, you'll be able to say, but this is not love. Because many times we accept this person and we accept these the things that they do to us, and it's not love. And it's your relationship is supposed to be about love, right? So you can read this entire chapter if you want. It's after it's First Corinthians chapter 13, and I read the New International Version, right? And it's from verse 4. These are the qualities one more time. Love is patient, love is kind, it doesn't envy, it doesn't boast, it's not proud, it does not dishonor, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres, right? So I'm not saying go and look for Mr. Perfect, right? Because you're probably not going to find somebody with every single one. Yes, they may have all these qualities in them. And again, I'm not saying in your relationship you're not going to have disagreements, right? But I could disagree. In my disagreements with my husband, he doesn't have to, he has never called me names or say it's stupid or say, girl, you know what I mean? You don't have to degrade each other when you're trying to resolve a conflict. You don't have to bring each other down. You don't have to bring up the past either, right? This says love keeps no record of wrong, right? And I know that's harder because you're saying, oh gosh, I can't forget some of the things he did, right? That is actually not love. It doesn't hold on to wrong. And worse yet, not only hold on to wrong, but bring it back up in an argument. Keep bringing back the things that hurt you. Keep bringing back all the hurt, the past hurt, things that you thought you all were already resolved and done and over with. You realize when you all argue, it's coming back up. That means the person did not forgive you. It means the person is holding on to that wrong. Because if the person had forgiven you, they would not have been bringing up those things, right? So ladies, this is just one aspect of the Bible that's talking about love. But the whole Bible is filled with different scenarios where God showed us love. Jesus showed us actually the greatest example of love by dying for us when we didn't even care about him. We were sinners. He died for us. He gave his life for us, right? And so love looks like something, and it's important that you all know that, right? I want to give you all an opportunity. It's 9:05. I want to give you all an opportunity to ask questions. You know, things that perhaps you might need clarity on certain things. You're not sure about something I might have said. But I want you to be able to ask questions, right? If you want to share something, we could, if we have time, you could do it after, but I really just want questions right now. Or maybe if you want advice that that I could give practically on the call. You can unmute your mic and ask. Somebody must have a question, concern, or maybe you're confused about how to go about something. Whitney, unmute your mic and ask the question. I really can't, it's loud by me. Okay, Celeste, could you read Whitney's question for me? Celeste? Celeste? Celeste abandoned me or what? All right, let me see if I get the question.
She must be step away. Let me see if I can read it to Nicole.
Okay, thanks.
Now we're going into the chat.
She said she had a pressing question. It started off like that.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to find the chat. Hold on.
Trying to find the chat.
Yeah, on this one, it's so shit. It's not coming up. I don't know why. 1 second. Right, okay. In the chat now, look for Whitney. All right, she says, I have a pressing question. My husband is Catholic and I am a Methodist. Am I supposed to convert to Catholic? He seems to think so. His family also. So that's her question.
Well, my first question to Whitney is like, how long have you all been married? You could, if you type it now, I'll be able to see. Just that it doesn't stay very long. How long have you been married, Whitney? And so why do you need to convert now? I don't, if you're 6 years married, 18 years together, why even, if you all have lived like that for so long, what caused him to want you to convert to his that's what I want to know myself. So it's a sudden thing? Well, so Whitney, we could probably talk. I mean, we spoke last week. We could probably talk again. Yeah, we probably talk again. If you're married, so I don't want to, make a silly statement, but it's kind of why the Bible says not to be unequally yoked, because it does cause problems when the two people get married and they are of a different religion. Especially if both people are practicing in whatever religion, because you have people who might belong to a religion and they just grow up in it, but they don't really practice. They don't go to church. They just call themselves a Catholic or they call themselves an Anglican. But if you really stick to your religious rules and so on, and you go to attend church regularly and all that, and your partner doesn't, or they go to a separate church, a different belief, I know that's kind of it's a kind of sticky situation, because even when the children are involved, what you're gonna bring your children up in? Is it that 1 week they go to your church, next week they go to his church? So, ladies, let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought to yourself? I used to say this as a young person all the time. I was like, gosh, I wish there was a manual that told me what to do in life situations. Like, I wish there was a manual. Like, okay, you're born, but you wasn't born with a manual. You get a car, you have a manual. You get a fridge, you get a manual. You buy a small little, you buy a Alexa, you have a manual. Anything you buy, you get a manual with it, right? Anything electronic, in fact, anything. Even if you buy food, It's tell you how to cook it on the back, right? Give you instructions. You have a little instructions as to what to do. Why we weren't born with a manual, right? I have some good news for you all, ladies. We will. When we do have a manual. It is, excuse me, it's the word of God. It's the Bible. It's filled with God telling us how to live our lives to get the best possible results and to avoid situations like what we go through sometimes in our lives. One of the things that is in the Bible, it's the Bible is a book of gems that if you follow and blessings, your life will be blessed, right? One of the things that God says is not to be unequally yoked. And that means you don't, okay, now I know it happens because in love, people put those things aside, right? They don't care religion, they don't care race, but you're not supposed to care about your race. They don't care about your religion, race, whatever. It's just love, right? Tasha, I'll let you talk in a minute. We put those things aside, but a lot of times it really doesn't practically work out. And God's way is always better than our ways, right? So we shouldn't disregard what God says and just do our own thing, right? And so if you all don't have a Bible and don't know what God's way is, I would suggest you all pick up your phone or your laptop because you have access to a Bible anyway. You no longer have to go and buy a Bible, right? Yes, Tash, you can unmute your mic and you can feel free to speak.
Yes, good night. Good night,
Hi.
everyone. Firstly, I want to tell you how much I do appreciate these weekly sessions. It gives me a lot of insight and it helps me think a lot in terms of the decisions that I have made in my past, especially where relationships are concerned. I think my biggest struggle right now is allowing the past to be the past. I have a tendency sometimes to look back at those relationships that didn't work out.
Right.
And, it's like I keep digging back up the past and kind of doing like a post-mortem, like in terms of how it happened and what you could have done differently. And, and apart from that, a big issue that I am having is the fear of, okay, if it is that, that I'm just going to remain on my own for the rest of my life, like it's not, because those past relationships didn't work out, there may not be another relationship that will work out for me. And I know that that fear doesn't come from God.
Yeah.
And
sure.
so, because he just doesn't operate that way. So I guess it's just a struggle in terms of allowing the past to be the past and not being afraid of the future not turning out the way that I may want it.
How long have you been single?
My last relationship ended in December of 2020. So from then until now.
Okay. Now, nothing is wrong with looking back and trying to figure out, not necessarily every single detail of why, but I always tell people, when you move from a relationship, you should always have an idea of why it failed, so that you don't make the same mistake. So nothing is wrong with thinking and saying, okay, where did I go wrong? But I think even in doing that, people examine it the wrong way, right? I think what the question you have to ask yourself is, how did I allow myself? What barriers were removed? How did I allow that person in the first place, right? Is it that the person had a whole different personality when you all met and they changed, or because you are the one that opened yourself up to the relationship, right? So something in you made it, made you see that person, that choice as acceptable at that time. And so sometimes the beginning is really where you have to go. What doors were open? What is it that did I miss something in the person's personality? What guard did I let down? You know what I mean? So it's more, not so much looking at the person, but you. And where you were at the time is also an important thing. Where you were at spiritually, your mental state at the time getting into the relationship sometimes gives you a good indication of how you ended up getting there in the first place. And in terms of your fear, that is, that's just Satan trying to hinder you from now perhaps going into a good thing, because God's plan for you is to meet somebody who's going to be a blessing in your life. And you can't tell me to have no good men out there. I know you have women who want to say that. There are no good men out there.
Yeah, I don't believe that either. I don't
That's
believe
not
that.
true. Yeah, that's not true. But it's important to be patient. Give the relationship in the beginning time. Sometimes we start off too quick, boy. We start on the finish line and then speed, and sometimes things get clouded, in that kind of the early stages with the passion and in the heat of the moment. You don't see things clearly and the relationship just kind of shoot off. I am a firm believer in being friends with somebody before, without that kind of romantic backdrop where you're trying to be somebody else. You know what I mean? When you're in a romantic relationship and you're building on that, you're not yourself. If we are real with each other as women here, you don't let down all your guards. You present yourself differently. And so does the person. So just how you trying to be all day, and like you're eating like, oh my gosh, and so you're all cute and everything in the beginning. He doing that too. He does not show you his true self in the beginning. So I am a firm believer in having a friendship with the person, getting to see them without the frills and trills, getting to know the person. And when before the love happens and before that infatuation and all that chemistry, you're able to make a better decision if you don't want to be this person or not. But if the butterflies and the love and all the chemistry there, even if you realize it's not the best thing for me, you already have all those feelings, it's hard for you to walk away. But it's easier to walk away from a friendship and say, okay, thank God I dodged that bullet, rather than you're tied up already, So take your time, Tash. Take your time and be prayerful about it in the earlies. If you realize this person could be a prospect, say, Lord, I ain't going on this road again, You had to help me out here. And God is faithful and He does guide us and lead us, but sometimes we're blind, we're deaf to even what He wants to say to us, I was told God. Yeah, so Tash, I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. Somebody else put up their hand, I believe, or said they wanted to say something. I can't remember who it was. You could go ahead and unmute your mic.
Good night.
Hi, good night.
I'm from Tobago. Thanks for the sessions. I really do enjoy them and they're very informative. My question is that I